take, I don't know, 11.
7,452.
Seriously. So who are we?
Who are we?
Who are we? Like, who are we? We are independently and together women who want to make a difference.
Mm.
And if you know me or you don't know me, my name is Maggie, and I am here to interview my sweet friend who on my screen is right here. Yay. And she is in Texas, I am in Michigan, and we have come together with 5 other women
Yep.
to participate in this incredible, we are calling it the Worthy Collective. It is a 10-week challenge that we go through together this book along with this beautiful.
Here's my book.
Yes. Oh, where's my workbook?
And
So organized. I am so organized.
I have the workbook.
Oh, that's
Yep.
not it. Oh no, another workbook. Okay, that's the workbook. Oh my
Yep.
God. I think it must be upstairs. So that's the workbook. This is the book, and it's also on Audible. And
Yes.
we together, the 7 of us, have created a worthy collective, and Tammara is one of our mentors. And so today we are going to introduce you to her if you don't already know her. And we have 3 things that we're going to cover along with after we finish up, we're going to share with you what's in it for you, an opportunity for you to join us, an opportunity for you to make some extra money by referring people that you love. And then also, if you'd like to share this video, you will be entered in a fun worthy giveaway. So first, Miss Tam,
Yes.
who were you and who are you today?
Who was I? Okay. So I'm going to go back to before I had children and before I got married. So I think the essence of what I do now started, the building block, if you will, started back in I guess post high school when I started in the world of radio. So I was thinking about it today. I was actually hired for one of my first jobs because of my voice, because she said when it was a phone answering service. So back in the day, you didn't have an answering machine.
Caller
We would
ID.
answer the phone for somebody. So they would leave their office and they would say, "Hey, I'm leaving the office. Can you answer my phone?" And we would answer their phone. And then we could also take messages and answer any basic questions. We weren't just a machine that took a name and a number. We actually worked for the company and answered things. But I was hired based on the sound of my voice. And then from there, I went into radio. And I think the sound of my voice came from my years as classically trained as a singer. So at that point, I would have had 2 years of classical training in voice and for opera and musical theater. So from there, I went from radio to live theater and singing, singing at weddings, singing at events. And from there, I went to industrials, which are training videos. And then from there, I went to televisions, commercials. I sang a jingle. I did film. And I branched into when I went off to college, they were like, you'd be a really good director too. And I'm like, oh no, I'm an actor. I direct, I produce, I do all that stuff because it encompasses the whole vision. And so what I learned in my radio days was to take a big concept and smash it down to the essence, right? And the actual and do a sound bite. So it's like coming up next, how you can learn from your child. And then it's like a tagline. And so I can take something and bring it down to an essence. And I use it in directing, I use it in performing, I use it in absolutely everything. So that's who I was before. I've lived in the Midwest, the East Coast, the West Coast, back to the Midwest. Now I'm in the Southwest, so I've kind of lived all over the country. We joke that we don't just travel, we move places, and then we learn the different cultures, which just really adds to the mix of who I am. I'm also Over the years, I've acquired all of these skills. I not only teach acting, I started to teach workshops. We would perform for a school and then we would teach the kids. And then, so I kind of developed that skill as well. And then I'm also a certified Stephen minister, which is somebody who helps the pastors of a church. So I'm a layperson at the church who I went through training for like a counselor, 60 hours of what they call active listening skills, and kind of like what a counselor does. And I help people when they are going through challenging situations like a death in the family, a job loss, any sort of challenging life hurdle. Then we come along and walk beside them. We pray for them. We help them kind of get back on track, and then we help decide if they need more professional help, and then we send them off to somebody who can help them. And then from there, I also became part of a survivors of domestic violence. I would lead groups of women who were survivors and looking to get back on track in their life and reconnect with God. And I've also been a leader of uh, grief support groups. So that's kind of who I was. Who I am now is I am, after getting married, having children, and leaving all of that behind, and then kind of getting reconnected with it through my children, getting back into performing and that sort of thing. So now I became an accidental entrepreneur of, suddenly I have students and customers and people who look to me for information and expertise on how to navigate this world and learn a skill. And I think what makes me different from a lot of the other teachers, and I had one person who succinctly said, yeah, anybody can teach them a skill, but you want to save their souls. And I think that it had never occurred to me until they said that, you know what, you're kind of right. I don't just want to teach, and I interpret that as this. I don't just want to teach them how to sing, how to act, how to be a better performer, how to be a better public speaker. I want them to go into the world, take all of those skills and apply them to absolutely everything that they do. To set a goal, accomplish it, take something big, break it down to its essence, and build it back up to whatever that goal is. So make their dreams happen. Make them want to be a better person because for them, not for anybody else, but for them. And so as a homeschooling mom, I'm always taking things and making them a lesson and, giving it an opportunity to learn from the experience and go to the next level, whatever it may be. So that's kind of who I am now. I'm an accidental entrepreneur.
Love it. I love it. I love it. It's so powerful to see the before, the during, and now that you've encompassed all of those gifts and joy, where you spend
Yeah,
your joy and that connection to a child's soul that affects the entire family.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And I love to support the moms. I think another thing, that a lesson that I learned along the way, because when we started our family, I was living in Los Angeles, and none of my friends were married. None of my friends had children. Or I think I had one friend who was married and had a child, but they were, to drive from my house to their house was like an hour drive. So I had no support system because my family was thousands of miles away. My in-laws were thousands of miles away. And so I had to kind of create my own network. And and then once we moved closer to family and I had to recreate a whole network, what I realized, there was one time I had to go to a doctor's appointment, and my mom, I was on the phone with her because she lived 8 hours from me. My in-laws lived 2.5 hours from me. And so in order for me to do anything, I had to always bring my kids along. And I remember my mom saying, don't you have a neighbor that can watch your kids so that you can go to your doctor's appointment? And I was like, actually, no, because almost everybody works. Like
mhm.
there really wasn't anybody. I was a stay-at-home mom, and there weren't a lot of us around. And the other part that I learned was I had to ask. I had to ask people. Like, and that was something that I wasn't used to doing. So
Oh,
as part of a service, so I support other moms. I think it's really important that we support other moms. And so one of the things that I do is I go to their house to teach them whatever to teach their child, because that's my way of supporting and giving back to the community of moms, working moms, stay-at-home moms, homeschooling moms. It doesn't matter. There's just, we moms are busy and we can only split ourselves into so many different pieces and parts. And I don't know how many are like, oh my goodness, you saved me by being able to, like, I'll be teaching their child and they'll be like, I got to run my other child to a piano lesson. I'll be right back. I'm like, hey, it's fine. No problem. No problem. But there's a need. So, and I saw that need. So,
And you found a system and a service and a business, and you created it from scratch. Scratch.
total,
And
total intuition.
and that's the part about this worthy collective of inviting women, because there might be a woman who is like, oh my gosh, I thought my business was, you know, ended, or she needed to be inspired by someone who just tweaked it just a bit, or someone who wants to start a business, or someone who wants to start a health journey and be inspired by another woman who's taken that priority. Because as women, and I can only speak to this because I am one, that journey of our identity that changes so abruptly,
Yeah.
like that transition from school, that transition into dating, the transition into marrying and divorcing and kids, no kids,
Motherhood. Yep.
moving,
All of that.
careers. I've seen it in a friend who's not married, and um yet her career has had so many different directions, and her identity was strong in one position, and then she's over in this other position that she doesn't have the same identity. Same person, different identity, because now she's in a completely different environment.
Yeah.
And so that pivot, Friends episode,
Pivot.
can be challenging. And so part of our worthy collective is that we gather, we grow, and we inspire
Yeah.
right where you are. So it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you have to have a business. It doesn't mean that you want a business. It doesn't have to be business related at all. It's the
Yeah.
meaning that where you are right now, what's your favorite quote?
When we know better, we do better. And that's from Maya Angelou. And my adding on to that quote is, first, we got to want to know better. And so we have to seek people who know more than us, and we have to seek that guide. And that's what I was thinking about this too, what you were just saying, as far as, this is this group, this collective, this book isn't just for people with a business. For me, I distinctly remember after my third child was about one and a half, two, somewhere right around there. I remember looking in the mirror and looking at myself and saying, I used to have an identity outside of being a mom. I was a full-time stay-at-home mom, and I was like, I used to be this creative person. I used to have this identity. And although my circumstances, my environment has changed, I I have to remember who I was. And that's when I started to seek out different things to redefine myself, find my voice again, if you will. It's like, who am I? What do I stand for? And it's one of the elements that I teach my students too. It's like, if you can't portray another character, you can't, every song has a story, every script has a story, any public speaking event that you might do, teachers standing in front of students and looking for a job, people talking to, coworkers, presenting anything. You can't be a voice of something else unless you know what your voice is.
Mm,
Because it's like, do I like what my character says? What if I don't? How do I present that? Like, if I have to portray a character that's not a very nice person, how do I present that? How do I live with myself and do that? How do I allow myself to do that? You have to understand that there's a lesson in that. And
mm,
it's like, would I have liked to learn that lesson before experiencing something with somebody like that? Yes. So this is an opportunity for you to teach the world a lesson from a negative person, but you have to identify the value of that lesson first. So you have to know who you are. So who is my voice? And
mm,
so that is why I say this worthy collective, this magnetic seven, this magnetic worthy women that we are, the seven of us. We call it magnetic because we're attracting people who want to grow like what we did, who want to learn the lessons that we got from this book. It's an opportunity. Um, but we have a voice. We need to, our voices will change over the how the voice sounds will change every season that we have in life. It's going to change, it's going to grow. So you don't have to have a business, you just have to want to be in touch with your voice. You just have to want to know who you are, reconnect with who you are. And those are the gifts and the talents and the things that you've been given by your creator, right? And what you can do with them. And we as a group are learning from each other. And we thought, who else would like to learn? Who else can we learn from? And who else would like to learn what we're learning? Who would else like to be a part of this group? And I think that's part of the healthy habits that I teach in my with my students is habits take time to develop. It's like muscle memory, right? We have to do something over and over and over again until it becomes a habit. So when we don't have to think about it anymore. So every time I teach a student a new skill, right? I'm like, I know it's going to feel awkward. I know you're going to have to put a lot of energy and focus on this new technique or this new practice or this new whatever it is. But if the more that you do that, eventually you won't have to think about it. You'll just do it. It'll become part of your practice and then you move on to the next thing. So it's changing little things over longer periods of time. Eventually they just become part of who you are and you just develop into whatever the goal is and you don't have to think about it anymore. So that's the healthy habits.
So good. Which was my number two question. Awareness is now, which is what you have realized that you have practiced yourself in all these moves and all these changes, the homeschooling three kids through
Yeah. Yeah.
many changes in life and
Yeah.
personalities and also boys, girls, the whole thing, like the differences in that, it makes it a
Yeah, I had to also learn because in my house, so I have three children, and so there are five people in my house and one dog, but we're going to put the dog to a side for a second. But there are five people in my house. Four out of the five of them have ADHD. I am the one person who does not. So there are things I've had to learn, and they're all different. Like they were all discovered at different ages, different stages, different phases, and they're all different. There's like nine different types of ADHD. Can you believe it? And I have four of them in my house. They're all different. So I've had to learn these skills so I could connect and help them that because with the one thing I do know about an ADHD brain is it learns differently. So I've
Mhm.
had to help them learn the same habits and skills that we all have to learn, all the executive functioning things, but they learn it differently. And so I've had to learn the different techniques for each person. And so that's different sets of habits for each person in my house. So
Well, and
it's
the blessing about that is you took a challenging situation to find solutions, and now it's something that you bring with you in your business because you notice
you.
the different skill level of learning and you respect the differences. And the biggest challenges of learning can be our attention in general, boy,
Yeah.
girl, young, old, whatever, in learning. So that's giving you that greater gift in teaching.
Yeah, I have several students that are, that neurodivergent world. And I've had some of the parents, I'm always just looking for ways to connect a way that how they, it's like a puzzle. I have to figure out, okay, this is the skill, this is how this student learns it, this is how this student learns it. Oh, this is different. And so I've had some of the parents come to me and just say, I don't know what it is that you do, but it's, you talk to them differently, you encourage them differently, you connect with them differently and it's just been fun to watch. It's I don't know, maybe I just like the challenge, but
Well, I'd say that you love the support and the challenge, and you sit somewhere in the middle to make sure that they're both delivered. Because
yeah, I
challenge
just
them as
pay
a
attention.
person, challenge you, the support, supporting them, but them supporting you in being a teacher to ask them to follow through, because then you have nothing to coach if they don't follow through with what
True.
you are doing with them. So
Yeah, yeah,
significant there.
very significant.
And what would you say, what is Worthy doing or has done for you so far, knowing that we don't start till the 23rd, yet the preparation, like what
Mhm.
has you excited? What do you want to share about Worthy?
There's a couple of things. One is Jamie Kern Lima's story is absolutely incredible. And
Chills, like literally the hair on my arm is like just
yeah,
chilling. How
yeah. And I
significant.
don't want to spoil it, so I'm
No,
not
no,
going to say any
no.
more than that because it's like you were saying, I listened to the audiobook. So for her to tell her own story and I would highly recommend getting both. And the reason I say that is because she will talk about things and she'll say things that, okay, in this audio recording, which you won't get in the book, and then she'll give you a little more information. So that is it. But I'm also a very visual person and she'll talk about things and I'll go back and I'll reread it. So I kind of read it with my magnifying glass, my detective magnifying glass, I call it. And I look for certain things. So that her personal story was so inspiring. And I think all of us can relate to experiences and decisions and choices we've made in our life where that they've left us, the world would tell us we're less than because of
Mm,
whatever that experience is. And so for me to hear where she came from and what she has experienced in her life and to say, I'm not going to let the world define me by that. I'm going to look for my worth somewhere else, which is where the Worthy title comes from. It's perfect. It's perfect for that. The other thing that she talks about, and it's just a sneak preview of what's in the book, is she talks about self-confidence versus self-worth. And
mm,
I would say that for me, what connected the most with that is there were times in my life as a performer, right? I am open to criticism. I receive criticism all the time.
as an actor. Yep.
It's right. And I've always learned that there's feedback you can use and feedback you can lose, right?
Mm,
Feedback I can use is feedback that says, I need a stronger emotional connection with that part of the monologue, or I need maybe a little more clarity in your articulation. It was hard to follow you. That's feedback I can use. Feedback I can lose is you're too old, you're too young, you're too tall, you're too short, things I can't change.
mm,
That's not feedback I can actually use, so I lose that.
mm,
But used
mm,
to losing stuff and not letting it impact me. So my confidence, my self-confidence can be high. My skill can be great. My confidence can be high, but my self-worth can be low.
mm.
And then when I became a parent, my self-worth became high, but my self-confidence was low. So different
Especially with the
seasons.
first one.
Yeah, opposite of totally opposite. Right, exactly. So it's like my confidence was down, but my self-worth, I'm a mom, I gave birth, woo. And yeah, and those two things have to align up in order for true growth to happen. And that just really connected with me. It's like I've been in this phase of trying to reconnect with my self-confidence and getting and maintaining my self-worth, right? So that was like one of the biggest things. And that was where she was talking about it and she was like, imagine a chart. Imagine it looking like this. And I thought, "Ah, I need to get the book." So I went and got the book and it's in the workbook too. So if you just want to get the workbook and listen to the audiobook, that's also possible. I'm just a little more and then some and wanted the whole thing. So that's just
And that's the great point is that when you register to join us, that's one of the bonuses that you get the 95-page workbook and a discount code to print it so that you
yes.
can work on that. So many bonuses. We're going to post three things: the link to register, the Facebook group, and then also the benefits to you.
Mm-hmm.
So we would love to have you join us. That's number one. And number two, if you find this so exciting and you're one of those people like Tammara and I,
I love the balloons.
yeah, I always talk with my hands. Um, but it's such a distraction too, because I'm like, hold on. Yay. Okay, back to to the regular scheduled program. Okay, so one is your invitation to join us. Two, if you are like Tamara and I that love to include others. Okay, I didn't think I'd do it again. You love to include others. And when you do, you will get a $20 cash or a gift card to Starbucks, to groceries, to gas, some simple things. And so every person that you refer to our program that registers, you will have an opportunity to make your choice. And last but not least, if watching this today, whether you've done it in pieces all at once, you put us on fast forward. If you don't know that's a thing, you can totally do that. And and fast forward just means that we talk a little bit faster. Blah, blah, blah.
1.5 speed is my
Is what?
1.5 speed is my top. If it goes
Yeah, mine's I
faster than
can't,
that.
yeah. And if somebody has an accent, I can't because I'm like, I don't know what the word they just used. Yet I
Yeah.
do enjoy it, but it was really funny because I was listening to Ed Milet on I think I was 1.25, and Lucy came in and she goes, "Man, he talks fast." And I was like, "No, I had it on fast speed because that's how I, listen to a lot of things like, let's go." So, back to that, your invitation, the opportunity to make some cash. And then the third is that if you find what we are sharing today significant to you and the people that you love and adore that follow you, that do life with you, you're willing to share. Click the bottom button, it says share. And you end up sharing this, we'll be able to see that you shared it and you will be entered into a fun giveaway, whether you register or not. We're going to put everybody in the drawing that chooses to share any of our videos. We have videos like this with the other mentors so that you're going to get to know everyone who is leading, who is guiding this program. We'll also have some fun. We've already done a fun reel where we all work together to pass the book. And so anything that you're willing to do to share and get the word out that this is meant for the right women who are in a space who would like to grow their confidence and their value, which really brings a great fulfillment. And that's personal. It's all personal.
Anybody who mentors someone else, whether it be your children or other, young people, nieces, nephews, could benefit. If you personally will benefit from it, but then you will also mentor somebody else. Because when people see changes in you, they start wanting to maybe change themselves. So think of those people who that are looking for something to grow, something to get them from where they are to something else. So mentoring, that's what
So significant.
yeah.
Um,
Did you
so
mention that Facebook group was going to be, for the group was going to be open for a few days and then it's going to
Oh,
be
perfect. Yeah.
closed?
So I'm going to put that below in the comments that you can join the group for free. You don't have to register right now. And once we start the program on the 23rd, if you haven't registered, then we're going to give you a smooch. Goodbye. But until then, enjoy the content and be able to, get what you
Check
need.
us out if you need
Yes.
more information.
And one of the quotes in here, it's on page 237 if you already have the book. I'm going to say it twice, and this will be our end for today in meeting our wonderful, beautiful guide, Miss Tammara J. Wright, who would share with you that she is an accidental entrepreneur, which is such a gift to recognize that there are so many. Yet it's being able to tap into your gift of genius and what brings you the most joy that you can turn that into an opportunity, whether it's volunteer, it's something like filling a need in your family for financial independence. There's so many different choices, and we have such an incredible array of women to be inspiring so that maybe her journey inspires you to start taking a walk, drinking more water, doing something for you. And everybody looks different based on what that is. And so we'd love to have you join us. And in the closing for today, I love this. And this is actually an unknown quote. Spend time around people who pull you into your future and not your past. Spend time around people who pull you into your future, not your past. We'd love to have you. Bye.